What if I told you that the secret to wealth, success, and unstoppable confidence doesn't start in your wallet, it starts in your mind? That the difference between living an average life and an extraordinary one is a thought, backed by belief, driven by desire, and executed with relentless purpose. Some of you might be thinking, is that really possible? And to that I say, not only is it possible, it's inevitable if you learn to think in a way that aligns with abundance, success, and growth. This isn't just about money. This is about mindset, about purpose, about unlocking the version of you that already holds the key to your greatest potential. So I ask you, are you ready to think differently, to believe in your own power, to grow into the life you've always imagined? If so, stay with me, because what I'm about to share has the potential to change not just your income, but your entire future. Let me ask you something right now. What do you really want? Not what you think you should want, not what society told you to want, not what your parents, your friends, or your environment tried to mold you into. I'm asking, what does your soul crave? What's that thing that if you could wake up tomorrow and have it, would make you feel fully alive? Because here's the truth most people never hear. Desire is the beginning of everything. Every breakthrough, every invention, every business, every masterpiece, every story of triumph, it all starts with a single spark. That inner pull, that fire in the belly, that voice that whispers, there's more for you than this. But most people bury that voice. They let life numb them. They let disappointment rewrite their beliefs. They get stuck in patterns of just surviving, waking up, going to work, going through the motions, and calling that living. But that's not living. That's existing. And you weren't made to exist. You were made to expand. You were made to desire. And when your desire is crystal clear, when it burns so bright, you feel it in your bones, you become unstoppable. Now, I'm not talking about wishful thinking. This isn't about saying, I want $1 million, and then sitting back hoping it falls into your lap. That's fantasy. I'm talking about a desire so clear and so emotionally charged that it demands action. A desire that defines exactly what you want, how much, by when, and most importantly, why. When your why is strong enough, your how will show up. But here's what I see in people all over the world. They say they want more, but deep down, they don't believe they deserve it. Or they're afraid of failing. Or they're afraid of what it will take to actually get it. So they keep their desires small, they dream in half measures, they water it down to feel safe. But the universe doesn't respond to lukewarm. Life responds to those who commit, who go all in, who say, this is what I want and I will not settle for less. You have to own it. Desire is a decision. It's not something you find, it's something you choose to fuel every single day. And when you do that, when your vision becomes so clear and emotionally alive that you can see it, feel it, taste it, then something incredible happens. You start to pull it toward you, not just because you believe in it, but because you become the kind of person who makes it happen. It's not just about visualizing the result. It's about falling in love with the process. You don't wait for permission. You don't wait for perfect conditions. You decide that where you are is not where you're staying. And that decision, that burning desire becomes the fuel that drives everything else. So let me challenge you right now. If I pulled you aside today and said, tell me exactly what you want, no fluff, no hesitation, just pure truth, could you tell me? If not, that's your first step. Don't chase a vague goal like more money or better life. Define it, write it down, make it real. How much money? By when? What does better look like? Who will you become in the process? Who will benefit from you stepping into your greatness? Because when your desire becomes specific and when you link it to purpose, when it's not just about you, but about the lives you'll impact, then it becomes a mission. And people on a mission don't stop when it gets hard. They don't quit when it gets uncomfortable. They rise, they grow, they break through. And yeah, people might call you crazy. They'll say, that's too big, that's impossible. But guess what? Every person who ever did anything great heard the same thing. The difference is they didn't listen. They listened to themselves to that fire inside that said, this is who I really am, and this is what I was made to do. So don't shrink your desire to fit your current circumstances. Expand your vision until your circumstances have no choice but to catch up. Because when you move with desire, with clarity, with purpose, the world begins to move with you. This is where the journey begins. Let me tell you something that most people completely underestimate: the power of belief. Not hope, not wishful thinking. I'm talking about deep, unshakable faith, the kind that lives in your bones, that fuels every step you take, even when nothing around you looks like it's working. Because the truth is this: you will never create a result that is bigger than the belief you hold about yourself. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how talented, how many connections you have. If you don't believe you're capable, you'll sabotage yourself every time, every single time. Belief is the bridge between your thoughts and your reality. You can have the biggest dream in the world, but if your internal dialogue is filled with doubt, fear, and insecurity, your results will match that. Your external world is a mirror of your internal state. So let me ask you something. When you think about your goals, when you think about the life you say you want, what's the voice in your head saying? Is it saying, you've got this, you're born for this, let's go? Or is it saying, be realistic, you're not ready, who do you think you are? Because here's the catch, your brain is always listening to you. Always. And whatever message you repeat to yourself, consciously or unconsciously, gets accepted by your nervous system as truth, not possibility, truth. And once something becomes your truth, your body, your decisions, your energy, they all align with it. Most people don't fail because they lack resources. They fail because they lack belief. They talk themselves out of the game before they even begin. They let fear run the show. They let their past dictate what they believe is possible in the future. But belief changes everything. When you believe deeply, something shifts. You start showing up differently. You move with conviction. You speak with power. You stop negotiating with your limitations and you start building your future. Belief doesn't mean you won't face challenges. It means that when you hit them, you don't fold. You rise, you adapt, you get creative. Because you're no longer questioning if it's going to happen. You already know it's happening. You're just figuring out how. And faith, real faith, is active. It's not passive. It's not sitting back waiting for life to show up. It's walking forward, even when the path isn't fully clear. It's trusting that your effort, your energy, your intention, it's all planting seeds, and the harvest will come as long as you don't quit. You can train your brain to believe in you. That's the beauty of this. You're not stuck with the belief system you inherited. You're not stuck with the label someone else gave you. You get to choose what you believe. And you do that through repetition, through feeding your mind over and over with thoughts that empower you. This is why rituals matter. This is why the way you start your day matters. When you wake up and declare who you are, when you speak life into your vision, when you condition your mind to expect success, you're not just hyping yourself up. You're rewiring your nervous system to expect more from you. And you better believe, once your identity shifts, your life follows. Because you don't get what you want, you get what you believe you're worthy of. That's the game. So if you've been hitting a wall, if you've been feeling stuck, I want you to stop and check your belief. Do you believe it's possible? Do you believe you are capable? Do you believe it's already on its way? Or are you still carrying around doubts, old stories, fears that were never even yours to begin with? You've got to interrupt that pattern right now. And it starts with a decision, a moment where you say, enough. I'm done shrinking. I'm done doubting. I'm done living beneath my potential. Because the moment you fully believe, the moment your faith becomes stronger than your fear, everything starts to move. Opportunities show up. People show up. Ideas come to life. Not because life suddenly changed, but because you did. And that shift in belief, that's the moment your future starts chasing you back. Let me share something that most people never realize. Your mind is always programming itself. Whether you're aware of it or not, the words you speak, the thoughts you repeat, the emotions you feed, they're all shaping the reality you experience. And the most powerful tool you've got to take control of that process is something most people never even use consciously. Autosuggestion. Now, I get it. That word might sound like some self-help buzzword, but let me break it down. Autosuggestion is simply this. It's the act of telling your subconscious mind what to believe over and over until it accepts it as truth. Because your subconscious doesn't judge. It doesn't filter. It doesn't say, that's not realistic, or that's too big. It just takes in what it hears the most and builds patterns from it. And then you start acting in alignment with those patterns, whether they empower you or limit you. So if all day long you're saying, I'm not good enough, I can't catch a break, I'm just not lucky, guess what? Your subconscious locks that in. And suddenly your decisions, your confidence, your energy, it all matches that belief. Not because it's true, but because you've said it enough times that your nervous system believes it. That's the trap most people fall into. They become victims of their own internal programming. They don't even realize they've been hypnotizing themselves with negativity their whole life. But here's the part that's powerful. Just like you can program your mind with limitation, you can reprogram it with power. You can use autosuggestion intentionally to speak your vision into your mind until it becomes real. Not just an idea, a knowing. And when you do that consistently, with emotion, with intensity, your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's imagined and what's real. It just follows the new command. That's why I don't just tell people to set goals. I tell them to speak those goals as if they've already happened. Every day, out loud, with energy, not just saying it, but feeling it. I'm a powerful creator. I attract abundance. I'm building the life I was born for. Not someday, now, today, already done. Because repetition with emotion is how the mind rewires. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it, how you feel it, how you embody it. Think about it. If you woke up every morning, looked in the mirror and said with absolute certainty, I'm confident, I'm focused, I'm unstoppable, do you think that might start to shift how you walk into your day, how you handle challenges, how you show up in the world? Of course it would. But you've got to go beyond just words. You've got to speak them like they matter. You've got to feel them in your body, and you've got to repeat them like your life depends on it. Because in a way it does. This isn't magic. It's not about lying to yourself or pretending. It's about choosing what version of yourself you're going to reinforce every single day. Because whatever identity you reinforce the most, that's the one that becomes real. And let me be clear, you don't need to wait until you feel ready to start doing this. You don't wait until you've achieved the goal to start claiming it. That's backward. You claim it first. You install the belief first. You tell your mind what to focus on, what to expect, what to look for, and then your thoughts, your habits, your results start to align with that new identity. That's how champions are built. That's how visionaries stay focused when no one else believes. That's how ordinary people create extraordinary outcomes, not because they're lucky, but because they trained their minds to believe long before the evidence showed up. You want to shift your life? Start shifting your language. Start shifting what you tell yourself when no one else is listening, because the words you whisper to yourself in private will eventually echo through your life in public. And if you want different results, you've got to start sending your brain different instructions, clear ones, empowering ones, the kind that lift you, fuel you, drive you to act like the person you're becoming, not the person you've been. Speak your vision daily, declare your power, rewire your reality with words that serve your future. Because the most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. Let's cut through the noise for a second. There's this old saying, knowledge is power. You've heard it. We all have. But the truth? That's only half of it. Knowledge is potential power. It only becomes real power when you do something with it, when you apply it, when you live it. That's when it starts to move the needle in your life. You could have 10 degrees, read 1,000 books, take all the courses, but if you're not using that knowledge to create, to solve problems, to grow something real, it's just mental clutter. It's trivia in your brain. It makes you feel smart, but it doesn't move you forward. Now, I'm not saying don't learn. I'm saying learn strategically, learn with purpose, learn with direction. And most importantly, learn what's relevant to where you're going. Because that's the difference between consuming information and cultivating specialized knowledge. And specialized knowledge, that's the edge. That's what separates the people who rise from the ones who stay stuck. General knowledge is cheap. You can Google almost anything. But being great at something specific, developing a skill that solves a problem that brings value, that you can monetize and scale, that's rare. And rare has value. See, most people don't take the time to identify what they actually need to learn. They chase shiny objects. They read whatever pops up. They get distracted, pulled in 20 directions, and they never build depth in anything. But when you go deep instead of wide, when you master your craft, that's when your confidence starts to explode. Because now, you're not guessing. You know what you're doing. You got to be honest with yourself. Where are the gaps in your knowledge right now that are holding you back? What's the one skill, the one area that if you really locked it in would change everything? Maybe it's marketing. Maybe it's communication. Maybe it's managing your emotions. Maybe it's learning how money actually works, not just how to make it, but how to multiply it, how to protect it, how to make it work for you. Once you know where the gap is, close it. And don't just dip your toe in. Go all in. Study it. Practice it. Find mentors. Watch the best in the world and model them. Not just what they do, how they think, how they make decisions, how they respond under pressure. Because when you build specialized knowledge, you stop waiting for opportunity. You start creating it. You become valuable. You become resourceful. And people pay for results, not resumes. There's a confidence that comes from that kind of mastery, a quiet power, because you know you've put in the reps, you've done the work. You're not guessing anymore. You're executing. And don't fall into the trap of thinking you need to know everything before you start. That's just another form of fear dressed up as perfectionism. You learn faster by doing. Get in the game, mess up, adjust, apply what you're learning in real time. That's how you grow, not in theory, but in the real world. And here's something else. Your knowledge becomes exponentially more powerful when you share it, when you teach it, when you help someone else level up, because now it's not just information, it's impact. It starts multiplying. And that's how leaders are born. So if you want to grow rich in every sense of the word, stop being a passive learner. Stop collecting information and start collecting experiences. Apply what you know. Go deep where it matters. Get obsessed with becoming world-class at what you do. Because wealth doesn't chase dabblers. It chases the committed. The people who get in the trenches, who build something real, who solve real problems in the real world. And the best part, specialized knowledge isn't something you're born with. It's not about IQ. It's about focus. It's about deciding that you're going to become excellent and then refusing to settle for average, day after day, brick by brick. When you do that, when you take knowledge and turn it into action, into skill, into momentum, that's when everything starts to change. Because the world doesn't pay you for what you know. It pays you for what you do with what you know. There's one thing that will determine how far you go in life, more than your intelligence, your education, or even your talent. And that's your ability to make decisions and then back them up with relentless action. Not random action, not someday maybe action. I'm talking about massive, consistent, committed action that aligns with what you say you want, because here's the truth most people don't want to face. Desire without action is just a fantasy. You can sit around all day visualizing the life you want, saying the affirmations, getting hyped up. But if you're not moving, if you're not doing the hard stuff, the uncomfortable stuff, the boring stuff consistently, nothing changes. People get stuck in this trap where they wait for the right time. They want to feel ready. They want to have all the answers lined up, every risk calculated, every step mapped out. But that's not how progress works. It's not how success happens. You don't wait for certainty, you create it. You don't wait until you feel ready, you act your way into readiness. See, action builds confidence. Action builds momentum. Action gives you feedback. You can't steer a parked car. You've got to get in motion, even if it's messy, even if it's not perfect, even if you're scared, because perfectionism is just fear in a fancy outfit. It's fear pretending to be responsible. But what it's really doing is robbing you of growth, of learning, of building something real. You have to understand, when you take action, even imperfect action, you're telling your mind, I'm in charge now. You're retraining your nervous system to move toward your vision instead of running from discomfort. And don't confuse being busy with being in action. Most people stay busy to avoid what really matters. They organize their desk, they answer every email, they overplan, but they never do the thing that actually moves the needle. You've got to get crystal clear on what your highest leverage moves are, and then do them first. Every day, before the excuses, before the distractions, before the doubts creep in, train yourself to take action before you feel like it. Because your future is being built in your daily habits, not in your occasional breakthroughs. Now let's talk about the kind of action that creates real results. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It's strategic, it's focused, it's consistent. Anyone can grind for a day. Anyone can sprint for a week. But the people who win in business, in health, in life, they're the ones who keep showing up when it's not convenient, when no one's watching, when the results haven't shown up yet. That's what separates the successful from the stuck. It's not just talent, it's tenacity. It's the discipline to do the thing long after the mood to do it has left. That's what builds character. That's what builds results. And yes, there will be resistance. There will be fear. There will be setbacks. But none of those are signals to stop. They're signals to lean in, to double down, to grow. See, most people stop at the first sign of struggle. They hit one wall and they say, maybe this isn't for me. But that wall, that's the invitation. That's where you get to find out who you really are. That's where the breakthrough happens. You've got to develop what I call emotional endurance. The ability to keep going when it's hard, when it's uncertain, when it feels like it's not working. Because if you can do that, you become unstoppable. And here's the crazy part. Once you start stacking small wins, once you start proving to yourself that you can follow through, the momentum becomes addictive. You stop hesitating. You start trusting yourself. And people feel that. They start responding differently to you. Opportunities open up. Resources show up. But it all starts with that one decision. I will act. Not next week. Not when I feel inspired, not when I have more time, now. So what's the thing you've been putting off? What's the move you know you need to make, the one that scares you, the one that stretches you, the one that would change everything if you just did it? Do it. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfect. Get in motion. Adjust as you go. Let your actions declare your commitment, not your words, because in the end, the universe doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you actually do. Let me tell you something that's often overlooked on the journey to success. You can't do this alone. I don't care how driven you are, how talented, how much grit you've got stored inside you. If you're walking this path in isolation, you're slowing yourself down. You're carrying weight you don't have to carry. Because wealth, real wealth, the kind that goes beyond money, is built through relationships, through connections, through the right environment. Your environment is everything. The people you surround yourself with are either reinforcing your limitations or challenging you to rise. They're either pouring fuel on your fire or slowly smothering it with their doubts, fears, and mediocrity. And if you're the smartest, most ambitious person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Success isn't just about having the right ideas. It's about being around the people who breathe belief into those ideas. People who don't just nod and smile, but who push you, stretch you, hold you accountable to that higher standard you set for yourself when nobody's watching. Think about this. We're all being influenced all the time. It's happening whether you're aware of it or not. The conversations you hear, the attitudes you're exposed to, the expectations people have of you, it's shaping how you think, how you act, what you believe is possible. That's why proximity matters. If you want to grow rich in mind, in mission, in wealth, you need to get around people who live at that level. Not people who are just talking about it, but people who are doing it. Because when you're in that kind of environment, growth becomes the standard. Excellence becomes normal. You start thinking differently. You stop questioning if you can because you're seeing people who are. You're absorbing the energy, the mindset, the habits that make success inevitable. And listen, this isn't about using people. It's about aligning with people. It's about building relationships that are rooted in contribution, not just consumption. You bring value to the table, you lift others as you climb, you celebrate each other's wins, and you stay grounded in something bigger than your ego. One powerful connection can change the entire trajectory of your life. One conversation with the right person, one mentor who sees your blind spots, one friend who refuses to let you shrink. That can be the catalyst, but you've got to be intentional about it. You've got to seek out those relationships, and more importantly, you've got to become the kind of person others want to connect with. Are you bringing energy? Are you bringing solutions? Are you showing up with hunger, with humility, with a willingness to grow? Because success isn't attracted to desperation, it's attracted to alignment, to clarity, to people who are living in integrity with their vision. Now let's be real. Sometimes building the right circle means letting go of the wrong one. And that's not always easy. There are people in your life right now who love you, but they don't get your dream. They don't understand your fire. They mean well, but they keep pulling you back to safety, to comfort, to who you used to be. And you've got to decide, am I going to lower my vision to fit my circle, or am I going to raise my circle to match my? Because when you start evolving, not everyone will come with you, and that's okay. Growth creates space. It's not about judgment, it's about alignment. About choosing what feeds your future instead of what soothes your past. You weren't meant to do this alone. You weren't meant to carry the whole world on your shoulders. You were meant to collaborate, to build, to rise with others who are on fire for the same mission. So start asking, who's in my corner? Who's challenging me to think bigger? Who believes in me so deeply that they won't let me play small even when I want to? And just as important, who am I that for? This is about building a tribe, not of cheerleaders, but of warriors, people who are in the trenches with you, people who remind you who you are when you forget, people who won't let your excuses be louder than your vision. Because at the end of the day, no one gets rich, truly rich, alone. We rise together or we fall apart. Surround yourself with giants. Build your circle with intention. And then watch what happens when your vision becomes too powerful to fail, because in the presence of the right people, your greatness becomes inevitable.